All right, let's dive right into one of the most fascinating processes in all of alchemy. We're going on a journey, exploring the transmutation of mercury. Now, this sounds like old school chemistry, but really it's a deep symbolic map for the transformation of consciousness itself. It's a path from a kind of sterile purity to a truly dynamic embodied spirit. So right off the bat, we get this. The green lion destroys the last illusion of centrality. What on earth does that mean? It sounds incredibly cryptic, I know. But this single quote, this is the heart of the whole mystery. It's the key that unlocks everything we're about to talk about. So just tuck it away in the back of your mind, because I promise by the end of this, it's going to make perfect sense.
You know, every great transformation has to have a starting point. And for this alchemical work, our ground zero is a state the alchemists call the still white mirror. Think of it as a place of pure, but completely static potential. So the material we're starting with is this white lunar mercury. And here's the crucial thing to understand. A lot of hard work has already been done to get here. The black dragon, the coarse, obvious, everyday ego, has already been dealt with. It's dissolved. So what we're left with is a clean slate, a consciousness that is purely reflective, like a perfect mirror. What's so interesting here is the tension in these qualities. I mean, on one hand, you see pure and mirror-like, and you think, wow, that's perfect. But then you look at the other words, passive, cold, and sterile. You see, this state is perfect, but it's also completely inert. It's like a flawless mirror with nothing in front of it to reflect. It's a perfectly still lake with no wind, ever.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem. You've achieved this kind of sterile perfection, but guess what? It's a total dead end. There's no energy, there's no desire, there's absolutely no movement. For any real transformation to actually happen, something totally new has to be introduced. So how in the world do we get from this sterile stillness to the wild, dynamic action of a green lion? Well, this is our roadmap. We're going to see this pure mercury get, for lack of a better word, eroticized. This then attracts something called a celestial dew, which in turn awakens a serpent. That serpent dissolves the final version of the ego, and that leads to the green lion and its big feast on a false sun. It's going to be quite a ride. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If nothing can happen by itself in this state, then what's the catalyst? What's the spark that gets this whole incredible engine of transformation started?
Well, the answer, in the rich, beautiful language of alchemy, is love. Or to be more precise, it's the introduction of the Venusian principle. This is the power of attraction, of magnetism, of a truly receptive desire.
And this comparison just illustrates the shift so perfectly. I mean, look at the contrast. We're going from something cold, sterile, and just reflective to a state filled with love, magnetism, and receptivity. The change is so profound, it even shows up as a shift in color, from that pure pearly white to a copper or green gold hue, which are the traditional colors of Venus. Now, it's super important to get this right. This isn't about the ego wanting things or trying to grab and possess them. No, this is a much higher form of desire. Consciousness isn't trying to take anything. It's simply becoming a magnet, attracting what naturally resonates with it. It's learning to be receptive. And let me be really clear about this. This stage is absolutely non-negotiable. Without this Venusian spark, the whole process just grinds to a halt. Consciousness is stuck in that pure, passive, contemplative state. It's the huge difference between just watching the world go by and actually starting to participate in it. Okay, so our consciousness is now magnetic. It's putting out a signal. So, what answers the call? This new quality starts to draw in a higher energy, and that sets the stage for our next great agent of transformation, the green serpent. This newly magnetic consciousness, it acts like a beacon, and it attracts what the alchemists called a celestial dew. You can think of it as this subtle spiritual influence, a kind of grace that comes down because you finally become receptive to it. But this dew doesn't do the work itself. Instead, it awakens a fire that was sleeping deep inside, and that fire is our serpent. So what is this serpent's target? It's not the everyday ego, remember, that's already gone. The serpent is hunting something far more elusive. It's hunting the spiritual ego. This is the final boss of the ego. It's that subtle, self-satisfied part of us that thinks, yes, I've got it figured out. It's that shiny, moral, self-congratulatory I that feels so much like real enlightenment, but is actually the final, most tricky illusion. And the alchemical language here is just so potent, so direct. The serpent doesn't debate with the spiritual ego. It doesn't try to reason with it. It devours it. It's an active, consuming, digestive force that completely dissolves this very last remnant of a separate, knowing self.
So the serpent's work is done, the vessel has been completely purified, and that sets the stage for the climax of this whole phase, the part from our opening quote. This is the lion's feast. You see, after it consumes that spiritual ego, the serpent's job changes. The dissolving work is finished, so it turns inward, bites its own tail, and becomes the Ouroboros, that ancient symbol of self-contained, perfect circulation. This is not a step backward. This is the sign that the purification stage is finally complete.
Okay, now, we're coming up on a really subtle but absolutely crucial point in this whole sequence. It's super easy to misunderstand this part, so let's break it down carefully.
Now, check out the precise order of events here. That perfectly circulating Ouroboros, it actually crystallizes one last beautiful illusion, what's called a false sun. This is a light that looks and feels totally central and real, but it's not yet truly fixed or embodied. Then, the green lion appears, and here's the key. It devours the false sun, not the Ouroboros itself. It's attacking the final illusion, not the purified substance. So what exactly is this green lion, anyway? In alchemy, it's the symbol for the active, fiery principle of spirit, what they call sulfur, finally becoming potent and active. It's that raw, untamed, divine energy beginning to truly incarnate, to take root in matter. This is the force that kicks off the process of fixation, which means making the transformation permanent. So after all of that, after the desire, the serpents, the lions, the false suns, what's the point? What is the core truth that this whole incredible, dramatic sequence has been trying to show us? And here we are, right back where we started. But now, this quote should be crystal clear. The green lion isn't some enemy trying to destroy our consciousness. It's the liberator. Its entire job is to shatter that final, subtle, spiritual illusion that I am the fixed center of my own universe. And by destroying that false center, it forces spirit to permeate everything equally. Spirit can finally truly inhabit matter, all of it, fully and completely, without some central headquarters or some illusory eye that thinks it's running the show. This profound emptying of the center is what prepares the vessel for the final, fiery stages of the great work. And really, this brings us to the final thought. This isn't just some ancient, abstract symbolism. It's a map. It's a map of consciousness. So the question I want to leave you with is this. What is the beautiful, luminous, but ultimately false sun in your own life? What is that final and most subtle illusion of self that needs to be devoured so that something truer can finally take root?